Hi, Papaya. How are y'all doing today? Hope I'm having a lovely Sapphic Sunday. It's once again time for your weekly dose of lesbians. We're back with some more Fragile Feeling. Last week we finished a different game by Ebehime, which I believe, if I remember correctly, we finished, yes, Her Love Like Poison, which was a toxic Yuri game. And we still had time left last week, so I decided, why not try out and start the bonus content from Fragile Feelings that I saw was released a few weeks ago, and I was like, why not? And so we started a bit of that. We got through, I think, the first scene-ish. I wish I can't make it. Oof. Horrible timing. Sorry. Replying to messages on my free time. I should have my free time, not now. Anyways, we started a bit of Fragile Feelings End of April, which is the bonus stories take place after the main story, which is, of course, fucking adorable. So we went from toxic Yuri to comfy cute Yuri last week, and that's kind of funny to me. Kind of funny. But today it should be just comfy cute Yuri. No talk Yuri involved as far as I'm aware. I don't think there should be. If there is, I'd be extremely surprised. But we're back with it's them. Anna Kohaku. They're so cute. So let's go look at them. Look at them. They're so cute. I love them. They're so cute. They're cuties. They're cuties. Look at them. I love them so much. They're so precious. They're so precious. Look at them. Cuties. Anyways. We're done ogling. We're done ogling them. Let us start. Let's not start. Let us continue where we left off. And let's not press that button. We had to go to the load section for the for the thing. And we are meeting up with Runa, who is Kohaku, An's friend from school, from her old private school that she was a student at, and then worked a bit on as a teacher's aide. And yeah, after graduating, after leaving the school, after leaving working there, I think a few years. I don't remember the exact number. It's been a few years since they've seen each other. They've texted back and forth every now and again. But yeah, this is their first time seeing each other again after An left the school. And yeah, let's go see what is up. I'm excited. So Runa does not like Kohaku. Runa is not a big fan of Kohaku. But Runa made an exception. So that An could bring her girlfriend, Kohaku, for this reunion. And yeah, let's go. Let's see how this goes. An, I missed you! I missed you too. An gasped, her breath voiding her lungs as Runa threw herself upon her. Why is my phone yelling at me? Nothing important, okay. Sorry, I'm watching it. There's nothing in the background. In the background, anyways. She felt Runa's arms winding tightly. Yes, tightly is the fucking word. Winding tightly about her middle. Felt Runa's chest pressing against her own, and she tensed. Runa had promised earlier on the phone that she would be on her quote-unquote best behavior during their meeting. She had said that she wouldn't make a scene, that she wouldn't cause too much fuss. And yet here they are. I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable, An. Not when it's been such a long time since we saw each other. I'll try and be a good girl. You can count on me. That was what Runa said. And significantly more typos and far wonkier grammar, given she'd sent it over text, and yet... With a shrug, here we are.
Runa, please, you're hugging me awfully hard. It's hard to breathe.
Oh, right! Runa drew away, bashed, and ran a hand through her hair which was just as messy as always. It didn't matter, seemingly, how much effort Runa put into trying to smooth her hair down. It never wanted to lay flat. It was a law unto itself. Just like, unsupposed, Runa herself. Runa looked much the same as An remembered. Her hair was every bit as wild. Her wrists decorated with plastic jewelry, which clattered together when she moved. But she hadn't seen that outfit before. It's cute! Big fan. Cute. Big fan. I love the earrings as well. And the hat. Big fan. I like the outfit. Really cute, real cute. She was wearing a breezy sundress. Atop her head, she wore a matching straw hat. It was very cute and, knowing Runa's interest in fashion, probably very chic. It looked a little too cutesy for Runa's tastes, but maybe she'd been trying to make an effort for An's sake. On her feet, she wore a pair of wedged heels, which were almost, but not quite, as high as Kohaku's black boots. Runa had always been a little taller than An. Most people were, despite her European heritage. But in those sandals, Runa towered over her. Runa looked abashed, however. Despite being so newly tall, she pressed her index fingers together and said, "I'm sorry, An, for jumping on you like that. I know I said I wouldn't. I guess I just can't help myself. Old habits sure do die hard." It seems you're a lot hardier than we're honest. Kohaku had been observing this awkward get-together, petted, one hand resting on her hip. "I'd rather you kill those habits than my girlfriend, if that's all the same to you, Miss Spitfire." Runa rolled her eyes therapeutically, then finally deigned to spare Kohaku a glance. "I see you're just as delightful as always, Miss Asaba." "I'm glad you think so. I do try. But you don't need to call me Miss Asaba, silly. We're not in school anymore." Thank God. I never liked school. I can't say I'm a big fan either. And yet, you still became a doctor. Hi, Kimmy. How are you? It's me, Runa. Hi there. Life can be fun like that. It takes us down many an unexpected twist and turn. How are you doing, Kimmy? We're doing well. Hope you're having a lovely Sunday so far. I've been chilling, doing nothing important. Vibing, playing Uma Musume, playing my gacha games. I forgot to do my Star Rail dailies. Fuck. Oh well. I'll do that later. Work busy. Oh no. Oh no. Hope work doesn't get too busy for you. Hope you can relax soon, TM. And whatnot. I can make the thing. Sorry. Looking at things. Thinking of things. Oh, okay. Oh, that's fair. I know that makes sense. That makes sense. Busy is good because you make money, but also like busy is stressful sometimes. You know, busy is stressful sometimes. I hope it's not too, you know. Hope just hope you can relax after work and whatnot soon at some point, and it's not too hectic out there. Okay, sorry. I'm just doing things in the background real quick. Okay, but yeah. You haven't missed much. You haven't missed much. We just met back up with Runa, and she kind of glomped on, kind of just aggressively hugged on, and Kohaku decided to just try to break it up because let's not break On's already fragile body and lungs. Kind of important to not destroy her lungs. Kinda needs the lungs to live and breathe. Estimated arrival. Give me when the fuck am I thinking to get here? And once again, battling with the shipping company, I'm once again battling a shipping company trying to get my fucking delivery. When the fuck will it get here? It's great. Anyways, that's not important to you. I'm just actually refreshing the page every now and again, trying to see when the fuck my delivery's gonna get here. I'm weird. Anyways, back to Kohaku and on. But to get back to the matter at hand. None of us are at Cecilia's now. I'm not your school nurse anymore. So you don't need to call me stuffy old Miss Asaba. Just Kohaku is fine. But that makes us sound like we're friends or something. Runa's nose wrinkled, as though she'd bitten something sour. Mo'an frowned. I don't expect you to become friends, but I would like it if you could try to get along. It would be awkward if you don't at least attempt it. Things are awkward enough already. An was still feeling shaken about being pulled into one of Runa's crushing hugs, without Runa and Kohaku coming to blows in under 5 minutes. I had thought facing Runa again would be easier with Kohaku there to act as a buffer, but maybe not. Runa looked like she was spoiling for a fight already. Perhaps out of consideration for An, she relented. Well, I'm glad you don't want us to be friends. I don't think I'll ever be able to make myself like her. But I can try and tolerate her at least. Will that be alright, An? You don't sound at all enthusiastic. But I suppose that's a good starting point. How kind of you, Miss Spitfire. How kind you are, Miss Spitfire. A lot of people don't even care to tolerate me. This feels like a real step up. I wonder why. Hello, message. Is there a sticker for it? I have a sticker for it. Give me a second. This is important. Anyways, sorry. I'm again being silly in the background, doing things I should not be doing right now. I should focus on my stream. The thing I'm supposed to be doing right now, and showing you guys. But I'm just here looking at Discord, sending stickers to a friend, being a bizarre human being. refreshing my shipped page, see if I'm gonna get my order. Is it here yet? Is it waiting out the door? No? Okay, bye. Back to the game. I wonder why. Mina rolled her eyes. It's nice to know I'm not the only person you annoy. Of course you aren't. I wouldn't want you getting a big head, thinking that you're so very special. I like poking fun at everybody. Isn't that right, Aunt?
You do like making side remarks, yes. I just wish you wouldn't do it when you pick me up from work. I don't want any of the kids overhearing
you. Don't worry. I may be a bad egg, but I do try and tone things down when I'm around kitties. You say that, but I don't think I'd trust you around the children. Not looking like that. I think you're a bad influence just by existing. Now you're making me sound like a member of the Yakuza. You look a little like one. With all those piercings? Yasha's vague. Yasha's all her being. Oh my god. She's just fucking covered in piercings. It's wild. Muna glanced away from Kohaku, then looked about the plaza. Shinjuku Station was behind them, and large crowds of people were thronging the pavement. It was so busy and so crowded too. Anna was starting to get a headache. Runa, however, seemed enraptured. She smiled, soft, shifting back and forth in her high heels, and said, sorry about that. Jeez. It really is busy around here, though. Tokyo's absolutely crazy.
Crazy in a good way?
In a great way. This place has so much. I know. So much energy. It feels like I could get lost in these crowds.
I hope you don't get lost. It might be hard to find you again.
If that just happened, I can always call you. But don't worry, I'm not gonna go wandering off. I said I was going to be at your side, my best behavior, and I meant it. I don't want to make you worry. But really. Rina smiled. She took a step forwards, once again ignoring Kohaku. She took An's hand, squeezing it, and then said, Tokyo might be amazing, but seeing you is even better. I know we've been texting a bit, but it's not really the same as seeing you in person. It feels like it's been ages. I miss you so much.
Runa.
Anne blinked, a touch overwhelmed, both by how noisy it was outside the station and by Runa's close proximity. She was used to Kohaku being touchy-feely, but she'd forgotten just how careless Runa could be when it came to other people's personal space. She didn't think it was particularly normal for friends to hold on to hands like this. Runa never did that, or did that to her, at the very least. There was something uncomfortably intimate about it, made all the more so by the throng of people which undulated around her. It wasn't an overly hot day, but Anne was beginning to sweat. She couldn't help but feel uneasy. Anne, are you alright? But Runa's entreaty was so earnest. Anne's heart went out to her. Anne smiled, and when she did, she was sincere. She gave Runa's hand a squeeze and then said, You're not the only one I missed. You're not the only one. I missed you too.
Wow.
Ooh, pretty. Ah, it really is a nice day, huh? Pretty. pretty background, pretty woman. She's so tall. She's so tall. Look at her, she's so tall. Wowee. We couldn't have picked a better time to go for a stroll, if I do say so myself. You are saying it yourself. Kohaku smiled cheekily, as Rita shot her a glance, even sourer than the pickled plums that Kohaku's grandmother liked so much. But I'll try not to give you too much of a hard time today. I don't know if Ahad would like it if we argued. And anyway, you're right. It is a really nice day, isn't it? I know it is. That's why I said it. Jeez. Why do you have to make such a big deal out of every little thing, huh? I can't help it, honey. Oh, honey bunch, I'm a doctor. We're supposed to be pedantic. It's paying attention to small stuff which can make the difference between life and death. What do you say, Grandma? Nobody's impressed. Grandma? Whoa, Grandma? Kohaku pouted. But Runa ignored her, steamrolling on in true Runa fashion. Do you see anybody around with having a medical emergency right now? Not right now. No. But might have an incident on our hands soon. If you dare call me Grandma one more time. Oh? Was it a threat? Do you want to try and find out? Not really, no. That's what I thought. But I don't think it's very responsible for a doctor to go around threatening to beat up young maidens. Young maidens. Young maidens. Kohaku made quotation marks with her fingers, her dark nail polish winking in the sunlight. Yeah, right. Like it or not, you're already 20, girly pop. You're only 20, girly pop. You might have been able to pull the whole I'm mentally ill into a minor card in the past. But you're an adult now. You gotta act like it. Says the old lady who threatens to hurt me for no good reason. Old lady? You have some nerve. Alright, you two. Oh my god, the dynamic is hilarious. The dynamic is hilarious. They hate each other so much. They hate each other so much. It's kind of funny. Anne, who had been doing about as much as she could of Kohaku and Runa's arguing, now stepped in. She didn't want them to really come to blows. Not while they were wandering around Ueno Park. There were children here, for goodness sake. Maktaku, mo.
Maktaku, mo. For goodness sake.
Fortunately, Runa and Kohaku had been bickering loudly enough for all the sundry to hear them. The sundry? For all and sundry. In sundry, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? Fortunately, Runa and Kohaku had been bickering loudly enough for all and sundry to hear them. But a couple of passerbys had shot them curious looks. Fucking weirdos. They were the sort of looks people tend to reserve for yappy dogs, straining against their leads, or bawling babies who refuse to be quietened. That's a new word I've ever thought about. Quietened. Even when their desperate parents said, there. It was, in short, embarrassing.
let's try and calm down, alright? We're all adults here, so we need to try and get along. I don't want us to cause a scene.
I wasn't causing a scene. She's the one who was being all annoying and smug and superior for no good reason. Sorry, Miss Spitfire. It comes naturally to me. Being annoying, you mean? Am I being annoying? You know you are! I swear you only say half of the things you do to piss me off. No? No, that's an interesting hypothesis. And what about the other half? Yeah.
Come on, you two. We've not seen one another for a couple of years. The least we could do is try and be civil to one another. That's what adults do, isn't it?
An looked between Runa and Kohaku imploringly, hoping to instill a degree of sense into the two of them. She turned her head this way and that, her eyes a little too large, a little too needy, as an aside. Alright, fine. I'll try to be nice.
Good. And you, Kohaku?
I kind of feel like I'm being threatened, treated like a little kid here.
If you're going to act like a kid, I'll behave accordingly. You bring it on yourself.
Wow, coming from you, An? That's kinda harsh.
It is?
Uh-huh. Working in childcare must have changed you. I've never known you to be so no nonsense before.
Well, I have to know when to put my foot down eventually. I am being fucking pinged. Oh, it's not important, never mind. Anyways, back to our usual schedule. Gaming. Thumbs up. Hi, Possum. How are you doing? How's your headache? Woman indeed. And stretch. Thank you.
How you doing, Possum? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good Sunday so far. Hope you're just having a lovely, lovely time. I assume you're just chilling at home. I don't know what you're doing, actually. I don't know your fucking schedule. Life's fucking weird.
I like all the kids. I like all of the kids I work with. But some of them are pretty shameless. If you give them an inch, they'll take a mile.
Very lazy Sunday? Heck yeah. Lazy comfy Sunday, just chilling in your covers. With some tea. Good Yuri. Good Yuri in your hands. Read Yuri, hopefully. They. And there's Runa. And there's Runa. I should make some tea. You should make some tea. Look at them. They're so pretty. Kohaku is so tall. Kohaku is so tall. Kohaku is so tall. Look at her. She towers over them. She towers over everyone, and that's hot.
If I let them get away with too much, then nobody will take me seriously.
Oh, you've become so battle-hardened over the years.
You're exaggerating. It's not like I've been going off to war.
Not in the traditional sense, no. Little kids can be a nah. Kohaku caught herself after meeting the gaze of a little girl walking along the path, holding an ice cream in one hand and her mother's hand in the other. I mean, they can be quite a handful. I don't know if I'd be able to hack childcare. I don't think I have the patience for it.
Well, you can barely manage spending time with Runa. let alone looking after any children.
How has work been anyway, Anne? Have you been enjoying it?
It can be a bit challenging, but I've been getting the hang of it. Just the other day,
I launched into an anecdote which had recently happened at nursery. Relieved that Runa and Kohaku were no longer butting heads. She wasn't sure how long this would last. About as long as she kept talking, most likely. But it was a nice reprieve from the poisonous barbs they had been needling one another with. Ooh, posters. Sorry, I'm watching a VTuber polish a print with their hand on the screen that they're gonna sign soon. By polishing, I mean they're rubbing their hand on the fucking print, like a fucking weirdo. Polishing this print I'm gonna sign for charity. Sleeve hand with a very pretty nail polish, by the way. Very pretty pink and purple nail polish. Hell yeah. Big fan. Big fan of the nail polish they have. And the hand sleeves. The hand sleeves. Oh, huge space. Anyways, the three women continued to walk through the park, content to enjoy the greenery around them. It was early spring and the air was lukewarm. Not too hot or too cold. A few of the flowers in their beds had yet to bud, and the leaves in the trees were patchy. They must have been recovering from the winter. But it was pleasant enough. The tree eventually paused by a lake. The three eventually paused by a lake, upon which several white boats were skidding. Boats which had been painted to look like swans, with orange beaks and beady eyes. Anne wrapped up her story about a particularly naughty little boy named Makoto, who had been caught terrorizing some of the girls by stuffing caterpillars away inside their book bags and paused. The rest of the park had been nice enough. The lake was even nicer. The water was clear and blue, mirror-like, so Anne could see the fluffy white clouds up ahead reflected within it. A few lily pads were scattered along the water's rippling, undulating surface, and several dragonflies skimmed it. Though they cleared off pretty quickly when the boats came by. It looked like a scene from a movie. A romance movie, to be more precise. Anne wasn't much of a movie aficionado herself, but she'd watched a romance. We watched a romance flick with Kohaku recently, where a couple had sat on a swan boat upon the lake, and then... Oh! Mina's eyes lit up. She pointed a finger towards the lake like an excited child and then said, "Stare." Look, Anne! Look at that bow! Aren't they adorable? I think they're pretty, kitschy. Kitschy. それは何ですか？それは何ですか？それは何ですか？ Kitschy. I think they're pretty kitschy myself. And I'll bet going on one costs an arm and a leg. It's expensive, probably. These kinds of touristy spots are always major ripoffs. Oh, jeez. That's pretty interesting, Kohaku. But I wasn't asking for your opinion, actually. I was talking to Anne, which is why I said her name. Maybe your hearing is starting to... maybe your hearing is starting to get... maybe your hearing is starting to go into your old age. You'll get where I am soon enough, Buttercup. Then the shoes would be on the other foot. As if I'd wear any of your shoes. When looked at Kohaku's impractical footwear, wretchedly. Kohaku was wearing heels, which would have been that wouldn't have been a problem in and of itself. We had a fondness for heels too, but Kohaku's heels were attached to a pair of black boots, which laced all the way up to her knees. I can't see them though. You can't see them though. That's something for Anna and go Runa to look at. Knees in this economy? Can't believe it. Unthinkable. Knees in this economy. They aren't really my style. Boots like that get all sweaty inside. But that's besides the point. What do you think of the boots on?
Well,
To be quite honest, I didn't have a particularly strong opinion about the swan boats, one way or another. She tended to agree with Kohaku, actually. They were pretty kitschy, and when viewed head-on, they were downright creepy. The black spots and the black spots of paint, which served as pupils for some of the boats, hadn't quite been painted on properly, which gave them a boss-eyed look. The beaks, meanwhile, were so orange they bordered on being garish. The boats were big hunks of plastic, and Ann thought they marred the peaceful tranquility of the lake itself, somewhat. Me. Oh my god. Oh my god, that's what he was gonna say. I'm watching my name be signed on a postcard. Well, it's being signed off screen. It's being signed on screen. Oh hell yeah, Sebi Pog. I'm watching my kids sign. Wait a second, I'm watching my name. I'm watching my card get signed. Hey yo. Wolf emoji. Wait a second, I'm watching things happen live on someone's stream. Wild. A creature. Whoa. Oh, question mark. Fuck yeah. Anyways, I didn't want to disappoint Runa though. Not when she seemed so enthusiastic. Enthused, even. What number am I? Wolf in sheep's clothing. 24! Fuck yeah. Number 24. Pong. Anyways. Back to my thing, unless my package is here. And the package is here? No? Okay, fine. Package yet? Okay, fine. Package is not here yet. What a shame. Oh, there we go. I got an email about the prepping sign. Okay. I didn't want to disappoint Runa, though. Not when she seemed so enthused. She forced a smile, and then said,
they're quite cute, I suppose.
Aren't they just? I think they're darling. I've always wanted to go on one of these. Can we, Ann? Can we?
I don't think there's enough room for 3 people. They look a bit cramped.
That's alright. Kohaku smiled magnanimously. With the bodice. What the fuck is that word? I've never heard that word before. I think Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva? Like Bodhisattva who had received enlightenment. I'm not too bothered about going on one of those boats. I can always watch from the store.
Do you mind?
Nah, you Runa should have some fun. I think she'd like having some time away from me, so I can't keep antagonizing her. So you're aware of what you're doing? I thought you simply couldn't help yourself. That makes things even worse. I have been known to say and do audacious things to get a rise of people, yes? Wow. I had no idea. I think I do a pretty good job of keeping it under wraps. Kohaku smiled brightly. Rina, meanwhile, gawped, then reached into her trouser pocket. She reached out a carton of slightly crumpled cigarettes and said, "Go to have fun, you two. Go to have fun, you two. Enjoy yourselves as much as you can. At least on one of those overpriced boats." Oh, cool. I'm cool watching from the shore. And was dying for a cigarette anyways.
You shouldn't.
Began, but she didn't have a chance to finish. Runa seized hold of her wrist, gripping her a little too hard and said, "Alright, let's go! Let's go on, before Kohaku here changes her mind!"
Oh.
An gasped, taken by surprise as Runa hauled her along. Runa was pulling so hard, I didn't have a chance to get her bearings. Her right ankle twisted. She might have stumbled had Runa not been there to support her. That was how things had been in Celia too. Runa had always been there to support her, regardless of An's feelings, no matter whether An had wanted her there or not. That was how things were. Look at them! Cuties! Is that just Runa's? They just pasted Runa's model. Sorry. I just thought they just pasted Runa's sprite on here. I doubt they did. It just kind of looks like it's silly enough. It's probably just the art style and just the same angle of her face. Anyways. This shares eyes. This is the life. Hey, An? An? It's An. Do you read me?
Oh.
An started, abashed as Runa waved a hand in front of her eyes. She'd been so lost in her own world, she'd barely been paying Runa any attention. An bit the inside of her cheek, anxiously, her head hanging. What in the world was wrong with her? She was glad that she'd been able to meet up with Runa, and things weren't as awkward between them as she'd feared. She should have been glad, at least. But An sometimes worried her brain was broken, because she'd often found it hard to muster appropriate responses to things. She had been pleased to see Runa initially. It was nice knowing she was alright, despite everything. But now they were alone, on a swan boat, which seemed much smaller on the inside than it looked on the out. And An had become nearly uneasy. It had been easier to interact with Runa if Kohaku had been there to come between them. For all An had sighed at Runa and Kohaku's bickering, it had reminded her a little too much about being back at work. It had eased her. It had eased some of An's anxiety. She hadn't had to worry about speaking to Runa one-on-one. Hadn't had to worry either about Runa broaching any potential upsetting topics she would have preferred to ignore. Kohaku sat sitting on the shore, however, puffing on a cigarette. There was no barrier to come between An and her.
supposed best friend. It was just an awful lot of flank, with undulated gently between them. There was something soothing about being rocked on the water like this, but it wasn't enough to ease Anne's anxieties. She felt suddenly, ridiculously afraid. Something Runa must have noticed, because her brow furrowed. Are you alright, Anne? I'm fine. Are you sure? I'm positive. Well, if you say so. I don't want to question your judgment, but if anything is up, you can always tell me. I promise I won't be offended. I didn't do something to upset you, did I? If you had, it would be a record. We only met up an hour ago. Well, that's true. I know it can be a bit much. So she was aware of it, was she? That was good to know. But I have been trying to tone things down today. Minus the hug, I guess. I told myself I was gonna hug you. I'm not the most touchy-feely person, but it's been so long since I saw you, I couldn't help myself. I was kind of acting on pure instinct here. I hope it wasn't too awkward. No, it was fine. It's understandable. It has been a while since I saw you. I've been thinking about you too, especially when I considered how we parted. Yeah. It was a bit of a bummer, wasn't it? I feel like it's an understatement. I feel like that's an understatement. You're not wrong there. Runa laughed lightly. Almost relieved she hadn't seen. Almost relieved she didn't seem to take any offense to this. Then frowned, her expression contemplative. Yeah, we did leave off on a pretty awkward note. I think we were able to talk things through well enough, but I was in the hospital and the mood was all tense and weird. I wasn't my usual cheerful self, and you were... well... you were pretty awkward, which is pretty common for you. I know. You don't need to rub it in. But you aren't usually that awkward. Not on me, at least. I'm glad we were able to have a conversation, but it wasn't how I imagined it. How did you imagine things would go? Then I added the end to the sentence because I forgot. Hello, you. How did you imagine things would go then? Oh, I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe I was hoping you'd say you were wrong for going off with Miss Asaba, Kohaku, I mean, and you'd realize that you loved me all along. Anne looked at Runa mutely. Her brow creased. She couldn't tell how much of that was supposed to be a joke, if any. She frowned, then said, I'm sorry things didn't work out that way then. Oh, it's alright. I'm just teasing. Are you? I wasn't sure. And neither, it seemed, was Runa. She sighed, then said, well, here's the thing. That is what I was hoping for when I pulled that stunt on the roof. I wanted you to realize... I don't know. The error in your ways, maybe? And you'd want to be with me. And only me. But I know that's not how the real world works. I can't say I care for her very much. But you like Kohaku, don't you? I like her a lot. Yeah, I figured. I can tell by the way you look at her. It seems like you're still totally smitten. Even after all this time. I was hoping I'd be in with a chance, but I guess my dreams have all been crushed. They say the early bird catches the worm, but I'm being obliterated here. Runa laughed, cheerfully enough, but just like Runa's smile, one didn't quite believe it. It was much too sad to be sincere.
I'm once again messaging people on Discord. I paused the wrong thing. Oopsies, much pause this.
Everything about Runa's expression rang hollow. I thought, once again, of apologizing. But why should she? She hadn't done anything wrong. Falling with Kohaku wasn't falling with Kohaku was no real crime, even if it had been hurt Runa. Not knowing what to do, An only said, I hope you're not too upset.
Oh nah, I was upset at the time, but I had a couple of years to reflect on things. I'm not quite as crazy about you as I was. Or as crazy full stop. I still care about you, of course. I mean, lying when I said I'm not disappointed at how things turned out. But I'm still alive and still want to talk to you. Things could definitely be worse. I've been trying to get better if it had been a bit of a struggle. Attended. Attended? Sir? Sir, it's next month. I've had more support than I thought I would. Sorry, I'm replying people again. I've had more support than I thought I would. And I feel like I finally know what I want to do with my future. That's pretty nice. Nothing else. This shit's in a month. This shit is next month. Sorry, this shit's in September. Motherfucker, this shit's in September. This isn't a month.
You told me you wanted to be a teacher?
That's right. Percent a day. My friend's a fucking idiot. He thought it was September already. So there was a goddamn day. There was tomorrow, not today. This man thought it was September already. This man thought September was fucking over. Bruh. Motherfucker thought it was over. Wild. I would have thunk it. Really. I mean, me, a teacher? Insane. I was always awful at school. You had to tutor me. Even then, I still struggled to scrape by. My grades were pretty bad, and I was always getting up on teachers' noses. I don't think any of them really liked me. They thought I was coasting, that I wasn't really trying. But it wasn't true! I was trying really hard. I would have asked you to help tutor me if otherwise. I can't English words, oh my god. I'm talking so quickly, oh my god. I did my best, but didn't really yield any results. And at the end of the day, I'm just not that good at concentrating. On school, at least. It seems kind of crazy now that I'm training to be a teacher myself. It's like, wow, what a roles reversal. I hated school so much, I didn't want to spend more time in there than necessary. But talking to Miss Kayano opened my eyes.
She visited you a couple of times when you were in hospital, didn't she?
Runa nodded. I was a little weirded out about it at first. I mean, I hardly knew her. She never taught me. I kept wondering why she was making such a big deal out of everything. Then my actual teachers came to see me. Ones who taught me for, like, the last 3 years. Maybe they're hoping I would stuff it, so I wouldn't bring down their class's average.
I doubt they would have thought anything so horrid. Your teachers might have been cruel. That's downright sadistic.
Oh, you don't know what Miss Shinonome is like. She was really, really awful. She probably threw a full-blown celebration after word got out about my little accident. Runa made quotation marks with her fingers. She's such a cow. I hated her almost as much as Miss Akasaka. No, I think I hated her even more. At least I only saw Miss Akasaka at assemblies. I had to deal with Miss Shinonome 3 times a week. I despise her, and I'm sure she despised me too. If all teachers were like her, I'd never want to go into the profession myself. But Miss Kayano was different. She was so kind to me, even though she hardly knew me. She sat with me, and she talked to me, and it seemed like she really genuinely cared about how I was doing. She cheered me up a lot. And she let me talk. And she let me talk to her. And she let me talk to her too, when I had to repeat my last year. You were gone, and so was Kohaku, and I didn't really have any friends. Everybody else I knew had graduated, and I was the oldest in all of my classes. I stuck out, and I don't mean that in a good way. Everybody knew I'd be done. What I'd done. When I tried to talk to anybody, they avoided me like I had the plague. It was pretty depressing. We looked off into the lake. Her eyes half-lidded. But I had Miss Kayano. She let me chat with her in the staff room when I was feeling overwhelmed, and she gave me a lot of advice. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I finally finished the school, so she suggested that I stay for a while to help her with some of her own kids, like you did. I wasn't really sure, but I didn't know what else to do, so I accepted. I was surprised my parents let me, but I think they were relieved that I had some sort of goal, even if it was short-term. If it was even more surprising, Akasaka was alright with that, seeing as she'd never liked me. I was sure she thought I was a liability after everything. That little stunt I pulled on the roof couldn't have even been good PR. But I guess kicking me out would have looked even worse. I suppose so. I nodded, primly, one hand resting on her lap. We're exhausted. She exhaled, spring breeze lukewarm against her cheek, and she said, I imagine expelling a girl who tried to, you know. Ann spoke obliquely, not wanting to define the incident in plain terms. She worried that would be inconsiderate. And anyway, it was incredibly awkward. It had been more than 2 years since it had happened. Still, it weighed on Ann. She still had nightmares about it sometimes, and she was sure it weighed on Runa even more. Of course it did. It must have. She was the one who had ended up in the hospital after all. Ann didn't want to risk making things awkward between her and Runa. Herself and Runa. Though maybe this was a lost cause. Things were awkward already. But Runa didn't seem to mind. She offered Ann a smile, and perhaps taking pity on her, said, You mean, after I tried to kill myself? Ann flinched. It wasn't the most cheerful of topics, but she tried to appear neutral. If Runa was talking about her attempt at suicide so casually, it must have meant she didn't want to turn it into some sort of taboo. There would have been no point anyway. Even Ann had been there when Runa had jumped, had spoken to her before her fingers had slipped from the edge of the roof. Then she'd fallen, and fallen, and fallen. Yes, that's what I meant. Yes. I figured. You couldn't have been talking about anything else. Well, it caused quite the impact. I said Runa's body, when it hit the grassy ground with a dull smack. A little like a child's doll being flung roughly against the wall. But Ann didn't say that. It was part of a long-standing tradition between the two of them. There were many, many things Ann had not said to Runa. Things perhaps should have, but hadn't. Her cowardice had always gotten in the way. She wanted that to change now. She wanted, and badly, want to be upfront with Runa. And yet... Oh, Matt! There's no way it wouldn't. I mean, you were right there. You saw everything. It must have been hard on you. I'm sure it was harder for you. Oh, I don't know about that. I was unconscious for most of it. I blacked out the moment I hit the ground, so I didn't even feel any pain. Until I woke up in the hospital, at least. But by that point, I was so doped up on drugs, I could hardly feel my own fingers, let alone... well... all the broken bones. At least you only cracked a couple of ribs. Yeah, it feels like a bit of a miracle when I jumped so far. I thought I was gonna be a goner. That was the point, at least. But hey, do you think Cecilia was watching over me? Like her spirit? Yeah, I don't know much about her, but since she isn't a saint, I figured she's supposed to be benevolent and loving and all that good stuff.
I'm sure she is. I imagine she's more benevolent than Miss Akasaka, at least.
You can say that again!
But I thought Mrs. Celia was the patron saint of the arts. Not the... of, well... attempted suicides.
Can't she be both? Since they're supposed to look after cute girls. It's like the law.
What law?
The divine law!
I wasn't sure whether such a law really existed, but Runa spoke with such determination. I didn't want to question her. In any case, she knew Runa was just clowning around. Runa had always been a joker. That was what Anne hadn't realized how. That was why Anna hadn't realized how lonely she was deep down. Maybe she simply hadn't wanted to realize. Runa had dropped enough hints, but Anne hadn't wanted to register them. She had wanted to think that Runa, but always acted so effortlessly cheerful, might have had problems of her own. It had been far easier to focus on her issues. Anne had no shortage of them herself. They had taken, still took in fact, a lot of her brain power to process them on a day-to-day basis. Anne knew she wasn't the only person in the world who suffered though. Runa did too. She had, but she had come out alright in the end.
I miss Kayano a lot.
Runa spoke softly, quietly, her fingers coiled on her lap.
She made me feel less alone when I was at my lowest.
And she helped give me a purpose. It's because of her that I decided I wanted to become a teacher too.
I don't want to be stern and strict like Miss Shinonome. I'd rather try and get to know my kids and be there for them when they're going through a tough time. I like to be a friendly face that kids can confide in, that they feel safe around. I want to try to make the world a better place. That's the plan, at least. But if I want to do that, then I figure I should start righting some of my past wrongs. I can't set a good example for my kids. Not that I'm qualified yet. If I don't try my best, so...
Runa inhaled. Fingers curled on her thighs. Was she trying to muster up her courage? Before she said,
I think I should apologize to you, Anne.
You already apologized when I saw you in the hospital. We talked through things and we forgave one another.
Yes, but I didn't apologize for everything. There was the whole roof incident, sure, but I did a lot of other shit which led up to it. Seeing you and Kohaku together was the tipping point. I don't think I would have acted so drastically if I had not been so... I don't know. So weird.
Do you think you're weird?
Anne, please. I'm glad you're being so nice, but yes, I am weird. I thought that was obvious.
Well, some of the gifts you've got me over the years have been a little strange, I suppose.
Huh?
Runa pouted.
And what do you mean by that, huh?
I mean, that alpaca was very big.
It was big because my feelings for you are. They're like huge. I thought I needed to get you a massive present so you could, like, properly understand how much I care about you. I still care about you, but I think that that was one of my problems.
That you cared?
No, that I cared too much.
Runa held An's gaze steadily, her lips pursed, just a peddling. It was a half-hearted effort at this point, slow and lackadaisical. The wind, meanwhile, brushed Runa's hair as it fluttered about her face. A few strands stuck on her lower lip, and she wiped them away. She frowned and then said,
I think... No. No. I put too much on you, An. I didn't have any other friends other than Cecilia's, so I clung to you. Maybe that would have been okay if I'd been able to moderate myself. But who am I kidding? I've never been able to do that. I've always been an all or nothing kind of gal. I figured since I liked you so much, you had to know about it. I was around you all the time. I thought hanging out with you 24/7 would make our friendships more real. That I'd validate my own feelings or something. It's kind of hard to explain. I still don't fully understand it. But it's not like I had any other friends to spread time with. The other girls in my year all thought I was a weirdo. I thought you had a few other friends at least. I had people I talked to, I guess. I'm pretty good at chatting away about nothing. But I wasn't close to any of them. They all thought I was a bit too much. That I was too bombastic or... I don't know. Too desperate. I think I was too obvious that I was lonely. It freaked people out, and it pushes them away. I could tell I was pushing you away too, in those moments before, well, it happened, so I tried to cling even harder. I was terrified of you leaving me, but I told myself I was sticking by you for your sake. I knew you were ill, and I guess I wanted you to rely on me. I'd gotten used to being the disappointment in my family, and one of the worst of the class, so I got a kick out of being useful to somebody. I wanted to be there, be the responsible one in our relationship. I wanted you to need me. That was the only way I could feel important. Like I actually mattered. I told myself I was trying to be a good friend to you. But now that we've had some time apart, it made me wonder.
Rita paused. She leant back and then said,
Maybe I hung out with you like I did because I wanted to feel good about myself. Not that I didn't like you, of course. I liked you a lot. I still do. You are, and always will have been, really special to me. But I think I was more selfish than I ever let myself realize. I don't know if you noticed. But you probably did. You've always been a lot sharper than me. Your grades were way better than mine. I could never hope to beat you when it comes to maths. And especially not literature. I still can't. I'm kind of a dummy, but... So you probably saw right through me. You probably realized I was being so nice to you, so I could get this sense of self-satisfaction. This feeling that I was being a really good, righteous person. I was... pretty transparent about it, actually. And if I ever made you feel like I was abusing you, I really am sorry.
Runa. I examined Runa for a few moments, blinking. She had expected Runa to launch into such a
sincere on account. Not a swamp pedal boat, no less. While they were both been cruising. They made a pause. It was unexpected. Part of An wished Runa hadn't brought it up at all. There's something awkward about it. Having a heart-to-heart on a pedal boat, like they were a couple on a date or on a pair of estranged friends. But Runa was being nothing other than sincere. An knew that Runa was being sincere, and it tugged at her heartstrings. She couldn't be mad with Runa for bringing up their pasts at an inopportune moment. Not when she's being so earnest. A second passed. 2. Faintly, Anne allowed herself to smile, then said, "No, it's all right." That's fine, in retrospect. I don't think it's alright. For your so-called best friend, I treated you pretty badly. Maybe you did. But that's part of being a human. None of us are perfect. And I think I treated you badly at times too. I wasn't honest with you, but I promised I would be. I hid a lot of my real feelings from you because I thought it'd be too awkward. I didn't want to complicate things, so I ran away instead. We both hurt one another, but that doesn't stop me from caring about you. Oh, Anne. Mina looked at Anne for a few moments. Her eyes looked suspiciously glassy. If she hadn't been sitting next to Anne in pedal boat, she might have pulled Anne into a tight embrace. The old Runa might have done just that, heedless to the onlookers the shore, with a very real possibility of making the boat capsize and tipping them both onto the lake in a flash. In the past, Runa had always been impulsive. She'd been the type to act first, then ask questions later, if ever. She'd never really cared about other people's opinions, either. But this Runa was different. She had sense enough to relent, and the self-restraint required to see through it. She didn't pull Anna into a tight, bone-shattering embrace, no matter how much she might have wanted to. No matter how badly Anne could see this desire in her face. She did grin, however, flashing Anna a wide, toothy smile, which showed off even her molars. Playfully, she gave Anne a nudge and sighed. Then, in a light, lilting voice she might have put on, her eyes were looking suspiciously bright and wet in the sunlight, she said, "Well, gee, I could say the same thing about you, you big dummy." Aww, cute. Damn, this place never changes, does it? That was cute. I kind of teared up there. Okay, I'm gonna go be right back for a bio break, but that was fucking adorable. I love friendships. I love healthy friendships with communication. Communication is fucking awesome. That's great. I'm gonna quickly go to a bio break and I'll be back in a hot minute. BRB! But sorry for the long wait. Let's see. Oh wait. Damn! This place never changes, does it? Is that a good thing? I guess. It's kind of crazy at least. You always know where you are with Petite Jacqueline, right? Una laughs as she surveys her surroundings, her arms folded. She was sitting on one of Petite Jacqueline's lacquer tables. Lacquered tables. The red vinyl seats that squeaked when you shifted. Okay. This is the wrong fucking card sleeve size. Okay, lovely. I have useless card sleeves now. Again. Give me a second as I do as I face the consequence of my action. Give me a second. Yeah, Jesus. Give me a second as I suffer from my own idiocy of continuing to order from the same place. And getting disappointed from the thing I get. Because I am dumb. And I thought they'd be different. I ordered card sleeves. This is related, by the way. I'm pausing right now. I ordered card sleeves in the certain size, and they came in the wrong size. They came in the Japanese-sized card sleeves, which are too small for any cards I own. Besides Yu-Gi-Oh cards, I don't play Yu-Gi-Oh at all. So I just have useless card sleeves now. That can't really fit other cards. They can, kind of. I've squeezed them in there, but that's not really good to do with cards. You should not force cards with card sleeves. It's not to be fucking impossible. They'd be fucking bad. Anyway. I'm gonna complain. Finally, complaint with like two small card sleeves. Again. Lovely. Shook. English to hydrate, possum. Thank you. I'm gonna fucking file a complaint that these are the wrong size. Not now, obviously, because I'm streaming. But later. Shook and pissed. Annoyed. Anyways, the packaging for when I complain. When I give them bad review. This is not the right size. I got Japanese sized card sleeves as opposed to the standard American ones. Standard size, not Japanese size. I mean, Japanese size, not standard size. You know what I mean. Shook and annoyed. Oh well. Though Anne was sheltered, and she had been at Petit Jacquelin's a few times before she had come to Tokyo, just as she supposed. Most people her age had. The chair was incredibly popular. The chain was incredibly popular. It had shops located all across Japan. There had even been a Petit Jacquelin in a small village near St. Cecilia's, though there were far and far more than in Tokyo. You couldn't go even more than a few paces without running into Petit Jacquelin and its distinctive red logo. If Petit Jacquelin was the disease, then Tokyo had been well and truly infected. An was fond enough of Pete Jacques. It wasn't too expensive, and it was passable for what it was. But she rarely went there. She preferred to cook at home for herself in Kohaku. It was cheaper, and it was also cozier. Well, Han didn't mind the food. She especially didn't mind the drinks. She was a big fan of the matcha ube. Matcha ube. Pichichakre was unreasonably popular for a chain, and it was noisy. The pichichakre she and Runa and Kohaku were sitting at was no exception to this. While not every table was occupied, most of them were already. Most of them were parents trying to shush drowsy children, while couples fed one another spoonfuls of melted ice cream sundae. Yeah, matcha, your favorite. Matcha. No matcha parfait, as far as I'm aware. Not yet. Maybe. Well, maybe they order parfait. But she prefers the matcha. But An prefers the matcha ube drink, which is actually that sounds really good though. Matcha ube drink sounds really good. Rana, of course, I know you love Rana. Rana. Nore dako. Nore dako. Nore dako. Kawaii na. Hontou ni kawaii no dako. Kawaii. Anyways. Harried waitresses walked to and fro, their soles clattering against the faux wood floor as they tried to serve as many people as possible. It was, in short, pandemonium. An was feeling a little uneasy, but at least she had her matcha ube. Runa, almost said Rana. Runa seemed to be enjoying herself too. At least, An hoped she was. She was glancing about, smiling as she said, "I swear, this place is the exact same as it was when I was a little kid. The menu hasn't changed at all." I know, right? I always got a kick out of coming here myself. They still have the strawberry pancakes I loved when I was a little girl. And the strawberry cheesecake, too. Even the stock photos they use in these dinky menus look the same as they did way back when. No, I think the prices have gone up. Kohaku skimmed the menu, then sighed. That's just typical. Did you come here often when you were young? When you were younger? A fair bit. I was really crazy about their pancakes. My parents used to take me here for breakfasts as a treat. If I remembered to tidy my bedroom and do my homework on time. It was pretty effective bribe, actually. I wasn't the most studious kid, but the promise of Pijiao's pancakes always fucked my ideas up. You didn't order pancakes, though. Didn't you get the Hamburg steak? Yeah, but the classic. Can't go wrong with steak. Plus, I'm already at my quota for sweets today. Oh yeah? Yeah. I was kind enough to make me French toast this morning, which really was delicious. I'm afraid if I dared order pancakes for lunch, on top of that, she'd give me a very stern look. Sometimes I think you deserve it. That's your second cup of coffee, isn't it? But darling, I need a... If I don't have my coffee, I'll stop working. It's essential to me. Like how machines need oil to keep running. I don't like coffee very much myself. The smell of it always makes me gag when I worked here. I hated using the espresso machine too. It was such a pain in the ass. Even worse when making milkshakes, and that's saying something. Oh yeah, you did work for a while. worked here for a while, didn't you? Runa nodded. What was that like? Hope they treated you alright. It was just a job. It's not like I felt particularly exploited or anything, though I did wind up covering a bunch of my coworkers' shifts since they kept taking time off. Fucking irresponsible people. Sounds frustrating. It wasn't that bad. I wanted the extra work since I was saving up to buy Anna a birthday present. Oh yes, that present. I remembered it well. We had bought her a large alpaca, one which had been so hefty it had been a little unnerving. I had never really bought it that to the alpaca. She'd never given it a name, but she had brought it with her when she'd moved to Tokyo, Kohaku. It would have seemed cruel to abandon it. Kohaku had liked the alpaca more than An, as it happened, and she had decided to bequeath it upon a name. She'd called it Mocha, after a cat she'd had as a kid. Sounds like you were a pretty hard worker then. I must say, I'm starting to revise my opinion on you. I didn't know you could be so responsible. I can be, when I put my mind to it. I didn't like studying very much. That makes two of us then. But I didn't mind doing stuff with my hands. Waiting tables was alright, provided the customers were nice. And I imagine they weren't always. Not always, no. Some of the customers I just served were incredibly annoying. Case in point. When a Kohaku will glare, Kohaku gets to herself. Are you talking about me? Yes, I'm talking about you. You were going out of your way to get on my nerves when I saw you. You were really riling me up. But it's fine. I had the last laugh in the end. What do you mean? I mean, when people were really pissing me off, I'd take justice on my own hands. It's not hard to spit in someone's black coffee if they'd been annoying, and you really were annoying asking for it. What? That's a health violation. You should do that. I know you threatened to do that. You didn't go through it with it, did you? Wouldn't you like to know? Yes, I would like to know, actually. What did you do with my drink, you little brat? Nothing you didn't deserve. You were so rude to me. How was I? You know how. Don't play dumb with me. I know it comes out easily, but it should be obvious. And you said I was rude to you. Kohaku pouted. You're the one who's making insinuations about my intelligence here. It's not very flattering, you know. I thought you kiddies were supposed to respect your elders and betters. See? That's exactly what I mean. You've always talked down to me, acting like I'm just some kid. Compared to me, you are. You say that, but Anna's only a couple of years older than I am, and you're still dating her. If you really think I'm so immature, then the same should apply to Anne. What does she get a free pass and I don't? Maybe it's because she wasn't a student when I met her. Yeah, but only barely. It was only a year since she's graduated. And yet, she's so very mature. I mean, she isn't the one who's shrieking in the middle of a petit jardin. And you might have gotten a bit older, Miss Spitfire. You're just as fire as ever. And you're just as irritating. Thanks. Thank you. I do my best. Kohaku smiled. Kohaku smiled suddenly, flashing Runa a mouthful of white teeth, which made her scowl. It looked rather like Runa wasn't wanted to knock Kohaku's pearly whites clean down her throat, but she heroically restrained herself. Scowling down at the tabletop, as if it had just insulted her mother, Runa said huffily, I can't believe you're already 30. You don't act like it. Is that because I'm so youthful? To your detriment. I've changed a lot, and so has An, but you're just the same as always. Attractive, witty, irritative, you mean? No, you're annoying. Oh, milady, you wound me. I'm sure you'll get over it. Rina rolled her eyes, unimpressed. You've taken everything else I've thrown at you in the past without blinking. And if you really cared about other people's opinions, I don't think you'd walk around outside dressed like that. Dressed like what? Is there anything wrong with my outfit? No! It's cute. I like it. Big fan, big fan, big fan. You should be asking if it's anything right with it. I mean, look at all that black and all those chains. It's so try-hard. And what do you think I'm trying so hard to do, actually? I don't know. Maybe you should ask yourself that. Or a therapist. It's not on me to figure out what messed up stuff happened to your childhood to turn you into an attention seeker. Methinks you're projecting on me just a tad. Just a tiny smidgen. Kohaku made a gesture with her thumb and forefinger. I also did that. I also did that with my thumb and forefinger. A smidge. And I don't dress like this because I want attention either. For the most part, I'd actually prefer to be left alone. Says the woman who was all over An when she first met her. Can you blame me? You were all over An too. She's a cutie. Well, I can agree with you there. Rina cast An, who had been quiet, slightly slipping her matcha ube, a glance. Then she flushed. But that's different. How is it? I've known An way longer than you have. She was my best friend. We were very close until you waltzed into the picture and you tried to take her away from me. Tried? And succeeded. Yeah. I still have no idea how that happened. Maybe An likes bad girls. Maybe An was strong-armed into it. Maybe An would like it if you don't talk about her as though she wasn't here. It's rude. With that, another pink flush appeared on Runa's face. Abashed, she toyed with her fork, then mumbled. Sorry, An. I guess I got a little bit carried away. You seem to do that when Kohaku's involved, yes. You've both been bickering like a couple of children. Has it been getting on your nerves? You'd be lying if I said it wasn't. An looked between Runa and Kohaku. Runa was still flushed guiltily. Her hand bowed while Kohaku was smiling. She didn't look particularly perturbed, at least. But that was Kohaku all over. Sometimes An thought she didn't have a single shred of humility in her body. But I guess I don't mind it too much. You don't? No. As long as you keep your voices down, it's fine. And anyway, it's kind of nostalgic. It reminds me of the... I don't know if I'd call them the good old days, but they weren't all bad days. I had fun with the two of you, and it's nice to see you getting on so well. Huh? What do you mean, getting on so well? There's no way! I can't stand her!
You say that, Miss Spitfire, but that doesn't stop you from replying to me. If you hate me so much as you claim to, why don't you just ignore me? That'd be a much, much better way of cutting me down to size, don't you think?
Well, I can't just freeze you out. That'd be rude. I didn't exactly want you to come along when just get together, but I did tell Ann you could tag along. I have to pay you at least a little bit of attention.
I see. So this is an act of benevolence. Kohaku grinned, and ruffled the top of Runa's head. You're such a nice girl, Runa. Thanks for looking out for me. Without you, I'd feel so lost. Runa pulled a face. Perturbed, she shrugged Kohaku's invasive hand away. Then, in an arch voice, she tried, and failed, to inject with a degree of authority. She said,
You really are annoying.
Ann, Runa, and Kohaku finished their food, then vacated Petit Jacquemin. Ann wasn't sure what to do next. She hadn't thought to plan anything, but that didn't seem to matter. Runa was content enough to wander around, which is what they did. They did a bit of actual shopping, mostly at Runa's behest, and an awful lot of window shopping. There were all sorts of places Runa wanted to go, Shibuya 101 especially, which contained a large number of stores which sold fashionable clothes. Runa didn't really need any more clothes. She had a substantial wardrobe already, but was worried her outfits weren't fashionable enough when compared to those of actual real-life Tokyoites.
I don't want them to think I'm some sort of uneducated bumpkin. That'd be so embarrassing. I'd think I'd die.
I don't think you look like a bumpkin. You dress pretty nicely. You know a lot about clothes than I. You know a lot more clothes than I do. Anna tried to reassure Runa, but she hadn't really been listening. Lured in by the sheer vanity of shops, Shibuya 101 boasted. Runa began to flittle hither and thither, starting at the short skirts, sign over high-wedged sandals, and practically jumped up and down over a pair of wide-bottom trousers.
Oh, these really are, darling. Do you think they're cute, Ann?
They're really nice, I suppose. I don't know about that. I guess it's fashionable at the moment, but the legs are a little too flared for my taste. Aren't you worried you'll fall over them?
No. I actually have a bit of grace and decorum. I didn't go to St. Celia's for nothing. Besides, what do you know about fashion? You dress like you crawled out of a grave.
I don't know if that's fair. My clothes might be unusual, but they're not tattered, and they don't smell either. I just don't care about following the latest trends.
Well, I do. I actually care about being fashionable, and these trousers are really cute.
I know you do. And while I'm sure you think that, I know about anything the price isn't cute. And so the rest of their afternoon went. Runa sighed like a heartbroken maiden, with clothes she couldn't afford. Kohaku made the odd, pithy comment. Runa couldn't buy the flared trousers which had so caught her eye, but she did manage to snag a couple of new shirts, a plaid skirt, and a few pairs of earrings. One with dangling plastic hearts, one with little lollipops, and the other pair pink and fluffy. Runa seemed very pleased by her haul, but she wasn't done just yet. After combing every inch of Shibuya 101, Runa declared that she was hungry. She dragged An and Kohaku off to a nearby creperie, which was supposedly the new hot thing. Runa said she'd seen photos of these crepes going around on social media. Saturated photos of delicious-looking sweet goods, by highly manicured fingernails.
You look so good! I've been dying to get my pants on one of them on myself.
And your mouth around one too, I suppose.
Well, duh. That goes without saying. I can't exactly eat it with my mind.
I don't think most of the girls who buy the crepes do it to eat them, though. I thought it was all for the clout. I bet most people take a few bites and throw them away. But why would anyone do that? That sounds like such a waste.
Some of these businesses, especially in trendy areas like these, will make these like super elaborate fancy desserts that exist mostly for photo ops. They're so messy to eat. There's no way. There's way too many calories for your average Instagram girly, so they're more of a novelty than anything else. They exist for but a brief flash. A few seconds of captured in a photo before they get thrown away with the rest of the city's rubbish. It really is tragic.
You're making too much of a big deal out of it. These crepes aren't as extra as some of the ones you can get. The more touristy stores. They're not piled high with bits of cake and biscuits. But they do look pretty sweet. I'm sure you can finish one no problem. I'm sure I can finish one no problem.
Oh, you know? Kohaku grinned. Well, I'll have you know. I'm the undisputed mistress of sweets. Isn't that right, Ann?
You do have pretty fierce sweet tooth, yeah.
See? I've never been able to beat... You'll never be able to beat me, Miss Spitfire. No matter how hard you try. I'm sure I'll be able to devour my crepe while you're still snapping photos.
Ha! I'd like to see you try. You're all confident, but you're nothing more than a washed-up old lady. I meanwhile, am a cute and pretty growing girl. I need all the calories I can get, and then some, especially after all this walking around. I'm sure I can finish my crepe much, much quicker than you can.
Alright, you're on. And so, the simple act of eating a crepe became a competition, much to Ann's bemusement. She wasn't sure why Kohaku and Runa felt the need to prove their superiority over something so silly. Surely it would be better to simply enjoy their food, like Ann was. Ann didn't like sweets so much as Kohaku or Runa, but the creperie that Runa took them to did serve good food. Runa chose a strawberry crepe, bits of crumbled cheesecake. Kohaku, a chocolate crepe drizzled all over with dark brown sauce. Meanwhile, plumped for a crepe with more traditional Japanese flavors, which was her preference. Matcha and mochi. Ooh, that sounds really good though. That sounds really good though. I kind of want a crepe. I want a crepe now. I miss the creperie. I'm missing the fucking morning crepes. So good. Missing them missing them breakfast crepes. I can't English today apparently. Great job, me. That bodes well for the rest of the stream. Bodes extremely well for that. Runa and Kohaku bolted their crepes so quickly. Bolted? Unworried they might make themselves sick. Bolted their crepes. Huh. Never heard of anyone referring to consuming food at a quick rate as bolting their food. That's the first. Never in my life have I thought about someone bolting their crepe. Or bolting any food besides bolt as an AI verb, as in the noun bolting. Yawning in your fucking ears like a disgusting person. In a second, I need to do... Okay, sorry. Where am I? Where was I? Where was I? Yeah.
Runa seemed awfully proud of herself for finishing hers about 2 seconds before Kohaku did. She didn't even swallow before announcing. But An had only taken a few delicate nibbles at hers. An nursed her crepe as Runa continued to wander about, peering into the shop windows. An had enjoyed the day in the beginning. It was rare she went out like this, and stretching her legs had been pleasant. But as the hours went on, An began to feel weary. She wasn't sure how long she had been wandering about behind Runa, but it had been too long. An was starting to lay behind. The straps of her shoes dug uncomfortably into her feet, and every step made her wince. Her head, meanwhile, was starting to ache. She wanted to sit down, and badly. Runa hadn't noticed, but not immediately at least. She continued to babble cheerfully as she had ever since she and Anna had met one another, about how amazing Tokyo was, and how many things she wanted to do and buy, and... Look at those shoes! They're to die for! I'd love to buy them, but the heels are so high, they wouldn't even be practical. Not for school, at least. They're really expensive, too. I don't know if I can justify it. What do you think, An? Hey, An? An? Oh. An jolted, alarmed, as Runa called out to her. She had been so lost in the haze of her own thoughts, which mostly centered around how tired she was. She completely tuned Runa out. I'm sorry. Could you repeat that? Are you sure that's a good idea? Kohaku sniggered. There was quite a lot to repeat. She was going on and on about those shoes. Oh, shut up! Runa shot Kohaku a venomous glare. Kohaku shut up. Her smile didn't waver, then examined An anxiously. She linked her arms behind her back and said, her brow furrowed. Are you alright, An? You aren't getting tired, are you? Padovan wanted to reassure Runa otherwise. Of course she wasn't tired. She was just fine. She was a grown woman, not a child, and she didn't need anybody to fuss over her. But her head did ache. An? Kohaku must have twinged something was wrong, too, because she sounded perturbed when she said, Is it your head? Is it playing you up? It's not too bad. But it is throbbing a little bit. And so are my feet. I might have hit my limit, I'm afraid. I hope you don't mind. Anne looked at Runa, apologetically, guiltily, for having ruined her day. They'd been out for a while, yes, but Tokyo was big. They barely scratched the surface of what there was to do. Anne knew that Runa wanted to do much, much, much more, see even more stores and eat more novelty foods, but... Ah, jeez. Runa didn't look disappointed. If anything, she seemed concerned. I'm sorry, Anne. If I had paid more attention, I would have noticed you were feeling tired. But of course, I didn't pay you any attention. I was completely wrapped up in my own world. I'm so selfish. I don't think you're selfish. It's understandable that you'd be a little overeager, maybe, since you've never really had a chance to look around Tokyo before. I know I was excited when Kohaku started showing me around too. Huh? Did you really? Yes, really. I was very taken in by all of it. Is that right, Kohaku? That's right. On here was like a changed girl. She didn't drag me around clothes shopping, which is a shame. I'd never say no to trying on more shoes. But she did ask if she could go to a bunch of art galleries and museums. We were kept very busy during the month after An moved here. Museums, huh? Runa tittered. I should have known. You've always been into that sort of thing. I guess you probably would have enjoyed that more than tagging along after me while I gushed over clothes, huh? Oh, maybe. But that's alright. I've already been to most of the museums I was interested in. And anyway, this is your first time coming to Tokyo. You're the one calling the shots, not me. I guess. Runa demurred, though she still looked unsure of herself, unusually abashed. Still, I'm sorry for eating up so much of your time and making you tag along while I do a bit of stuff to myself. It was pretty selfish of me. I don't think it was selfish. I liked seeing you have fun. And anyway, you don't need to apologize. Spending time with you today was a lot of fun. It was? Of course. Why would I be glad to see you again? You're my best friend. We were both at St. Cecilia's. That's sort of bond which doesn't simply disappoint, no matter how many years have passed. Or at least I don't think it does. I think it does for the other people, but I've never really had many friends, so... An's voice trailed off. Shyly. She blushed, now poking the tips of her index fingers together. Why, she wondered, did she feel so awkward? And around Runa, of all people. She needed to try and calm herself down. We might have spent some time apart, but I didn't stop thinking about you. I was always wondering how you were doing, getting on, and I'm very happy that you got to see you again.
Oh, An! Now it was Runa's turn to look flushed, a fact which made An smile. Runa was a headstrong girl by nature, one who charged such a life head first without, seemingly, a care in the world. An knew that this was not wholly true, of course. The events of Runa's final year at St. Cecilia's had made it readily apparent that Runa had many cares of her own. Quite a lot of them, in fact. But Runa had always tried to master her insecurities, her anxieties. They were on display now, however, as Runa faltered. She swallowed, then said,
Me too. I'm really glad I got a chance to see you. I just hope I wasn't imposing too much.
You weren't imposing at all.
Seeing you again was...
Anne paused, groping at the right word, before settling upon
lovely.
Lovely, huh? Runa giggled, her incisors sharp as spring sunlight. I don't know if I'd call myself that, personally. That's sort of weird. You always see people call ladies in, like, fancy dresses.
Aren't you lady? You did go to Cecilia's, like you said.
Yeah, but you and I both know I never really fit in there. I tried, but I never got the hang of it. The curtsying and the ballet and the... Good day to you. How are you doing on this fine spring day, Sav? It always felt like I was acting a character. And I was bad at it, too. It made me feel self-conscious, like... I don't know. Like at any moment, you're going to be called a fraud? Yeah! It was exactly like that! It felt like I was taking part in some play, and everybody else knew their lines, but I didn't. I was always left out in the cold. I was always the odd one out. I was terrified of being found out. It weighed on me until I couldn't hack it anymore. But I guess you know all about that already. I haven't forgotten what happened, if that's what you're asking. I know. I guess I must have left a pretty big impression. Got an impression nonetheless. So wow, imagine that. Hello. Anyways. Ciao anyway. In fact, it kinda hurt if you had forgotten. What you did was quite memorable, kiddo. I think I'll carry that day with me until the day I die.
Me too.
I still feel pretty bad about that. But at the same time, I guess I'm glad I was able to make at least a little bit of an impression. And I wasn't completely forgettable, at least. You're anything but. You've always been such a spitfire. And you've always been such a pain in the ass.
Runa, please.
I looked at Kohaku, anxiously, worrying whether she might take an umbrage at the remark, but... Kohaku didn't look even minutely put out. In fact, it was the opposite. She was laughing. Well, you know what they say, Miss Spitfire. It takes one to know one. Yeah, I guess they do say that. And they're probably right. I know I can be a pain in the ass myself, but I wish I wasn't. I'm trying to be better, get better about it, and I am trying to grow up. I want to keep doing my best, so... Runa looked at Ann. She showed a hand to her chest, her eyes imploring. Can we keep being friends, Ann? That's what I really wanted to ask, I guess, when we met up. I just want us to keep in touch. If you wouldn't mind. He looked at Runa. Runa looked back at Ann. Her eyes a little too wide. Runa had been acting like her usual cheerful self during most of their get-together, but now she looked almost unnervingly imploring. It was almost as if the entirety of her future happiness hinged squarely on Ann's answer. Something that Runa's needy stare unnerved Ann. It made her think of the way things had been, when Runa had demanded all of Ann's time and all of her attention, even needier than a little yapping puppy. Ann had never disliked Runa, but she had often felt uneasy around her. Her intense desire for company, for Ann's company, had been constant, so much so it had left Ann feeling trapped. She didn't want it to happen again. But Runa had promised that she was trying to grow up. Ann fancied she already had, just a little bit. Runa's expression might have been painfully earnest, but Ann's fancy that was only because Runa cared about her so much. She just wanted to be Ann's friend. How could Ann refuse such a humble request? You don't need to ask. Of course we can keep being friends. We always have been. And do you still want to talk to me, Ann? I would love to. It'd be a waste if I didn't. We already have one of those numbers, and we've already been texting. I don't see any point in cutting you out of my life now. As long as you promise to behave yourself, of course. Behave? Runa's snub nose wrinkled, as it always did when she was issued an order by anybody she regarded as an authority figure. She pouted, then opened her mouth, as if she meant to argue. At that moment, Runa caught Kohaku's gaze. Abashed, she swallowed, and after scuffing the ground with her tip of her shoe, she said, All right. I get the memo. I'll do my best. I won't bombard you with texts like I used to, and I'll try not to be too clingy. I won't get all up in your hair, and I'll try not to be too much of a bitch to your girlfriend, even if she does just dress like a total tryhard. How does that sound? It sounds good. I still think you could stand to be a bit nicer about Kohaku. Couldn't she just... She's being so mean. Well, you are tryhard. What do you want me to stay? Stay! Runa stuck out her tongue at Kohaku, who responded by blowing a raspberry at her. Runa rolled her eyes and said, Wow! Real mature. Hey, you were the one who started it. If you can't handle the heat, you should keep out of the kitchen. There's no kitchen here, or outside. Anyway, you didn't need to blow a raspberry at me. That's the thing little kids do. Who's sticking out their tongue? So you're sticking out your tongue? So stick out your tongue. I can't read. It's not as rude though. It's still plenty rude. What happened to all your fancy education, huh? You went to St. Celia. For goodness sake. You should be a bit more pride. You should have a bit more pride. And you weren't, as it Cecilia's. You so shut up, looking like some cheap, like copy of a Kiss member. Yeah, that's harsh. I don't wear that much makeup, do I? Kohaku looked at An for reassurance, who sighed.
You do wear a lot of makeup, yes.
Oh, say it ain't so.
What? I never minded that Runa. What? I've never minded that Runa's the one who seems to have a problem with how you dress. But you are dating her. You don't need to worry too much about her opinion. I just wanted you two to be
Friends, An was going to say. But her voice trailed off. Though she had vowed to make an attempt to be more optimistic, she wasn't at the stage where she could willingly delude herself. An doubted that Kohaku and Runa would ever be friends, or anything approaching it. She didn't want to ask for too much. It was better to settle instead, with the decidedly more manageable.
civil. Towards one another. Do you think you can manage that?
Well, I was trying until she started being a jerk. It's my specialty, Buttercup. You'd best get used to it if you want to hang out with An. 'Cause guess what? Kohaku grinned, then wound her arm around An's shoulder. Pulling An close, Runa pulled a face, then said, Me and her are a couple, and I ain't going anywhere. Believe me, I know! I still wish it wasn't the case. I think you could do better, An. But I can see that being with her makes you really happy. An, for whatever reason. I don't know if I really understand myself. I still have no idea what you see in her, but I know you get on well. And if you're happy, I'm happy. That's all I ever wanted for you. Yay! Aw, that's cute. Yay! They're getting along. They're being civil. Yay! Being civil. It was dark by the time An and Kohaku returned to their apartment. They lived on the outskirts of Tokyo, leisure being much too expensive for Kohaku and An even on the joint rent. As a junior doctor, Kohaku didn't get paid as much as the title suggested. An's wage, meanwhile, as a preschool teacher, was pretty pitiful, all the more because it fluctuated so much. An often had to skip work because of her various hospital checkups or her headaches. It was rare that An lasted more than a fortnight without having to take a day, sometimes two, off. The journey back to Kohaku and An's shared apartment took a good 40 minutes, and they had to walk back the rest of the way. The sun began to set as they were wending their way back down the road, and it was well and truly dark once they let themselves inside. Kohaku flipped the lights on with a relieved sigh, stretched, stretching, and said, "Yeah, it was fun sitting out for the house for a bit. It feels like we've been gone for ages. At the end of the day, there's no place like home, eh?"
There really isn't.
Anne nodded in agreement, though she couldn't put as much enthusiasm into it as she usually did. She was too tired. Her head had begun to throb during the tail end of a meeting with Runa, and had yet to improve. Anne's skull was aching, though not yet to an alarming degree. Her vision hadn't started to blur at the edges, at least, which was always a surefire sign when things were getting really bad. She thought it might have been an ordinary headache brought upon by overexerting herself, other than migraine. At least she hoped it was. Kohaku, noticing how pale and pasty Anne's face was, frowned, then said, "You all right, Anne?" Anne shook her head, mutely. "I Are you tired?
I nodded.
Poor thing. Kohaku tutted in sympathy with An, then sat down upon the couch. Patting her thighs, she said, "Do you want to rest your poor weary head here? It might help take some of the load off."
If you don't mind.
I don't. You don't weigh much of anything. You're so light it won't be a bother. Look at them. Anne allowed herself a small laugh at this as she settled herself down upon Kohaku's waiting lap.
You're making me sound like a bird.
A bird?
They have hollow bones, don't they?
Look at her. So baby. Yes. I suppose you're right. You don't suppose you have hollow bones, do you, Anne?
If I do, the doctors have been holding out on me.
Don't they let you look at your own x-rays?
Well, they mostly look at my head, not my chest. I don't think there's an issue with my bones, though.
I would hope not. You have more than enough to worry about, without having extra health problems piled on top of everything else.
I was thinking the same thing.
Anne pouted, while Kohaku smiled. Well, let's hope for bad. Well, let's hope for both your sake and mine that your bones are nice and strong, and you drink enough milk tea, so they should be healthy enough.
Is milk tea a decent substitute to milk? I thought it was too sweet.
It's not the best beverage in the world, no, but it has plenty of calcium. Besides, I'm not one to talk about that sort of thing. You know how much coffee I drink.
Sometimes I wish you wouldn't. The kitchen stinks of ground beans, and it really isn't good for you.
I know. I think I'll pack it in for the moment my teeth start going brown. But I'm afraid it's a necessary evil. If I don't get a shot of caffeine in me, I'll collapse at work.
Is there a high risk of that happening?
I wouldn't rule it out altogether. My boss is a hard ass, and we've been slammed with patients recently. But this isn't about me. I'm supposed to be fretting over about you. Why'd you come over all? Why have you come over all tired, Have you been pushing yourself too much?
Well,
Anne frowned. She wanted to reply in the negative. But no, she was not tired. She was a grown woman, and she knew her limits perfectly. Well, yes, thank you very much. But she couldn't bring herself to. If she couldn't be honest with Kohaku, who could she be honest with? Ah! Gay!
you might be right. I think I was putting a bit too much on myself.
Yes, I know you were. I could see that you were flagging, though I didn't want to say anything while you were with Miss Spitfire. I didn't want it to be a killjoy, but I was worried. You shouldn't feel obligated to put other people before yourself all the time. You need to think about your own needs too. I know
that, but I didn't want to cut the day short. It wouldn't have felt right.
Why?
Because I was with Runa, and it was such a long time since I last saw her too. I didn't want our reunion to be a letdown.
I'm sure she'd never think of that. Even if you did call things short, she would have understood.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. She's grown up a lot, you know. I'm sure I told you the same thing this morning. You should try giving Runa a bit more credit. She is your friend, isn't she?
Of course she is. She's my good friend, too. But I just didn't want to hurt her feelings, that's all.
And are Runa's feelings more important than your own?
Oh,
Or your own health? Kohaku raised an eyebrow, then said, Sorry, I don't want to get at you. You can spend time with whoever you want, but do worry about you. I do worry about you. I'm sure Runa does too. If she knew you've been pushing yourself today, how do you think you would make her feel?
I guess she'd probably feel quite guilty.
Yes. I imagine she would. She would not have any issue with she might not have any issue with me insulting her. But you're important to her. I think she made that pretty apparent.
She did, yeah. We were to talk some things through, and she was actually quite understanding.
More than you thought she'd be? I nodded. Kohaku smiled. Good. I'm glad. Runa might be a bit put out, though, if she knew you had such a low opinion of her.
You wouldn't tell her that, would you?
Of course not. Kohaku grinned, then poked on in the cheek. Not a stitch. I won't tattle. I promise.
Cross your heart?
And hope to die.
Well, you don't need to go quite that far.
Hey! Said that before. Alright then. I'll swallow 1,000 needles instead. Should I ever go back on my word? Would that work for you, too?
I don't want you to swallow any needles either.
Then I'd best not break my promise. Lightly, Kohaku laughed, crowding her fingers through An's hair all the while. She brushed a few strands out of An's face, away from her eyes, then said, ponderously, Still, Runa, Lily has changed.
I thought that too. She's not just like always, and she's plenty energetic. But she seems a bit more... I don't know. I don't think reserved is quite the right word. But she was a little more... mindful, maybe.
You mean she was more considerate? An nodded, and Kohaku chuckled. Do you mean what, maybe? She still gave me an earful. But maybe that's the way things are supposed to be. I still don't know if she's forgiven me for taking you away from her. She probably thinks I'm her arch nemesis.
Oh, don't be...
Silly, An meant to say. But then she recalled all the sharp glares and snide remarks Runa had tried at Kohaku throughout the day, and swallowed her words. I know, this is cute. They're so cute and also understanding. I love them. I'm so happy we got some more stories with them. You got another story with this adorable. I love it. I'm so happy. Thank you, Ebihime. Thank you, Ebihime. Thank you. Thank you, Ebi. We love Ebihime in this household. She couldn't bring herself to brush this remark to one side, overblown though it was. After all,
On second thought, you're probably right.
I know I'm right. She might have been Miss Goody Two Shoes. Goody Two Shoes reference? Goody Two Shoes, AO?
What in the Lord's name?
She might have been Miss Goody Two Shoes around you, but she's not mature enough to hide the way she feels about me. Not that I mind. I'm glad that she's being more reasonable with you, at least. I imagine it came with age. We all have grown up eventually. We all have to grow up eventually. Even me. No, I really wish I didn't. I'm plenty old enough as it is, without being 30.
What's wrong with being 30? You still look young to me. Plus, I hear the age of 30 is in demand.
Where'd you hear that from?
Some pirate, I think? Some retired pirate with yellow and red eyes. I don't know. She's very lewd.
For now, maybe. But it's the beginning of the end. There's no coming back from that, not when you hit the big 3-0. It won't be long before my neck gets wrinkly, and my hair goes gray. And what about my music tastes? I don't want to wind up listening to... Jeez, I don't know. Matsuado Seigo? Or Kobayashi Chico? Not like my mother.
I thought the bands you listened to were all pretty old as it is. Though, aren't he models from the 80s?
Well, good point. I guess I've always been a bit of an old soul.
You're certainly an old soul. An odd soul. I don't think there's anything wrong with getting old. You should count yourself lucky if you still have so many years ahead of you. It's a privilege not everyone has.
I guess. Sorry, I didn't mean to be insensitive.
It's alright. I don't mind. I just think you worry a bit too much about things you can't change.
Now that's a classic care of the pot calling the kettle black. If I ever heard one, I'm almost offended actually, that you've been so brazen, you little minx. If you aren't feeling so wary, I'll have to subject you to some pretty vigorous tickle torture for that.
And here you were, complaining about getting too old.
Softly, on laugh.
You might be 30, but you still act like a kid.
Well, it keeps me young. I still have the heart of a child, you know. If I have the face of even if I have a face of really old has-been.
You aren't wrinkly. You look perfectly fine.
But nobody carts me when I go to buy alcohol at the convenience store anymore. They don't even bother.
I thought it annoyed you when you got carded, though. The last time it happened, you said it was an insult, but you obviously aren't a child, and you don't want to be treated like one.
Yes, but it soothes me, ego. I may be in the healthcare profession, but I'm not completely selfless.
Oh, I never accused you of that. Don't worry.
Anne's smile took on a slightly bitter edge. Kohaku pouted. Hey, you can be so biting sometimes, Anne.
I think you bring that out of me.
Probably. Not to mention it.
Kohaku frowned.
I swear, you weren't like this when I first met you. You were the meekest, modest thing. You would have said boo to a goose. You wouldn't have said boo to a goose. I never thought when you first came into my office that you'd wind up raking me across the coals like this.
Yes, well, I never imagined I'd wind up resting my head on your lap either.
Me neither. Though I might have hoped for it.
You did?
Well, yeah. You're very cute, Anne, even if you are going through a bit of a rebellious phase. I'm starting to worry. I've been a bad influence on you.
At least I never picked up smoking. I don't have any piercings either.
I'll grant you the smoking. It's an awful habit. But I don't think there's anything wrong with having piercing. It's not a sign of moral degeneracy, or whatever. It's mostly a fashion statement.
I've never cared about fashion, though.
Which is funny, since you look so cute. Kohaku chuckled, then said, Shall I take that my early worries were overblown then?
I beg your pardon?
I was afraid you might not be feeling well after a jaunt about that big bad city. But if you have enough strength to talk back to me, you can't be all that unwell. Are you feeling alright?
My feet are a little sore. I have a bit of a headache.
Oh no, that never bodes well.
Other than that, I think I'm alright. You don't have to worry so much. I'll be fine.
Well, that's something. I'm glad to hear you're hanging in there. But do tell me if you feel any worse, alright? I can go and fetch some medicine, or drive you to the hospital if you need it.
I don't need it. And please don't start talking about the hospital. You spent enough time there as it is.
Man, you're not wrong. Work really has been kicking my ass lately. I feel like I hardly ever get a chance to see you.
Well, That's why this weekend will be so special. Since we're both free, I figured it'd be nice if we could spend more time together. I don't have any appointments with Yuna tomorrow either.
Or Yuna?
Anne shook her head. She did invite me out. She wanted to go shopping, but I thought I'd need some time to recuperate after seeing Yuna, so I turned her down. Besides, as much as I like Yuna and Yuna, I like spending time with you more.
Non.
Kohaku blinked.
For a few moments, Anne thought she could see an uncharacteristic blush spread across Kohaku's cheeks, a faint cherry blossom pink which seemed to glow beneath her thick foundation.
She paused, and then...
Jeez. You're going to get me all choked up, you bad girl.
How could it be bad? How could it be bad, though? I only want the best for you.
That should be my line. Kohaku prodded Anne in the cheek once again. Anne squeaked, then said, her voice nearly bright and bouncy. Now, why don't we have a bath? I don't know about you, but I had to rinse myself off after such a long day.
Anne thought of sharing the bath with Kohaku, but Kohaku's long, slender limbs stripped her clothing and blushed in turn. Kohaku saw her reaction and grinned, giving Anne another poke.
Sounds like a good idea,
I really am a genius. Anne didn't bother replying to that. There's no need. What she wanted was obvious.
It was written right across her face.
Kohaku sighed in her sleep as she lay in bed, curled up on her side, like a lima bean. Her hair was loose, dark strands scattered haphazardly across her pillow. Her eyes, meanwhile, were shut, her dark lashes matted. Kohaku didn't always remember to remove her makeup before going to sleep. She worked so many hours, sometimes it plain slipped her mind. It wasn't at all uncommon for her to sleep with a face full of foundation and mascara, only for her to wipe streaks of smoky black across the pillow come the morning. I had scolded Kohaku about it before. It just gave her more laundry to do, but never really bothered her. Anne knew how hard Kohaku worked, and she was willing to give her partner some leeway. She deserved it. At least Kohaku had remembered to remove her makeup before settling into bed today. She had washed it all off in the bathroom before joining Anne in the tub, slotting her long, slender limbs beside Anne's as the warm water enveloped them. Anne recalled what had happened in the bathtub earlier, recalled Kohaku's roving fingers, the kisses had pressed against her throat, and she trembled. It was remarkable how quickly Kohaku could change. During the day-to-day, she was a cheery, irreverent woman, one who was always telling silly jokes that rivaled her father's. Anne had met Kohaku's father as it went, and she had rather liked him. He had been a cheerful man, quite like his daughter, and the polar opposite of Anne's own. She couldn't recall her own father smiling, much less telling jokes. Alec Clements probably would have shriveled up and died from the ignominy of it all. At night, however, when it was just Anne and Kohaku transformed. She became somebody who could, with a single word, reduce Anne's legs to jelly. At a single touch, make her sigh and moan and... well, it was probably too soon to think about all that. It had only been a half hour, since they had relocated from the tub to the bathroom. Despite the intensity of what had passed between them, however, Kohaku was already fast asleep. There was something charming about the way she snored, all the more because Anne knew Kohaku would be embarrassed if she was aware of it. Kohaku wasn't the sort of person who got embarrassed easily, but she did care rather a lot about her appearance. That was why she wore so much makeup, why she dressed herself, too, in so many dark clothes. Kohaku cared a good deal about how she presented herself to the outside world, maybe because of the side eyes and the slander she received from her coworkers. But around An, at least, she let herself relax. She looked very relaxed right now, in fact. Her dark hair curling around her pillow. Spike Kohaku was worried, quite primping in front of the mirror in the mornings or evenings when she had work nights, and her frequent query to An about how her neck looked. Was it getting wrinkly? Her hair was getting gray. She looked young. She was young. The age of 30 is in demand. She was only 30, and the age of 30 is in demand, like I said a second ago. Kohaku looked younger than her 30 years, however, and when she slept, sweeter. Kohaku looked younger than her 30 years, however, when she slept, and sweeter alongside it. An had been a little unnerved by Kohaku when she had first seen her, but it was hard to imagine finding her unnerving now. How could she, when she was curled up on her side like that, and she was snoring? And you say I pushed myself too hard. An smiled affectionately while running her fingers through Kohaku's tresses. She took care not to tug on any knots as she brushed, her smile gentle. I think you've been pushing yourself even harder. It won't be why you crashed after getting into bed. You think you like to act like you're so big and strong, but you're all right. That's all right. You can lean on me too. I promise I won't break. An continued to run her fingers through Kaku's hair, smiling all the while. An didn't know how long she had left, though she still went to the hospital every month. She had transferred to a new one after moving to Tokyo. Her most recent scans showed that her tumor hadn't grown any larger. It was stable for the most part, probably because of the medicine she had taken for it. The doctors weren't hopeful, however, that it would remain in remission forever. This could very well have been the calm for the storm. At any moment, An's tumor could start to grow. It would push down upon her frontal cortex and then... But An didn't want to think about what would happen then. She knew, inevitably, that she would die. But didn't everybody? Her health might have been precarious. She had frequent headaches, but people healthier than her died all the time. They were hit by cars crossing the road, or they fell down the stairs, or maybe they slipped and hit their heads in the shower. It was a grim thought, but it was simply the reality of the world. Every single person, from the moment they were born, had to live hand in hand with death. It was always there. It was just a little bit more present for An than it was for most people. When she was younger, she had thought about her impending death all the time. She had dreaded it, especially when the pain in her head began to flare up. When Anne's migraine had been particularly bad, all she could do was curl up in a ball on her bed and pray for the end. She had been doing less curling up lately, however. Neither did she want the end to come and claim her. She wanted to spend as much time with Kohaku as she could. Anne wanted to luxuriate in the soft, tender moments like these, the domestic moments, which might not have seemed overly important, which filled her heart with tenderness all the same. Anne had never imagined as a young girl that she would ever find somebody who would care for her as much as Kohaku did. She had thought she was too broken to be loved. She had kept herself away from other people, afraid of reaching out for happiness, in case she was rebuffed. But Kohaku, at least, held her close. Kohaku cared about her. Ann felt very blessed that she had been able to meet her. And she was happy, too. She had been able to meet with Runa once again, to bury the hatchet. Their meeting had gone better than Ann had even dared to imagine. Perhaps life wasn't as scary as Ann had once told herself. In St. Cecilia's, she might have been as fish in a bowl. Now, however, her life had expanded significantly. She no longer felt trapped. She was with Kohaku, and she had broadened Ann's horizons significantly simply by being herself. Ann doubted her feelings for how Kohaku would ever change. How could they, when Kohaku had given her so much and asked for nothing in return? I don't know if you know it, and maybe I shouldn't say it, since I'll give you a big head. Ann murmured to Kohaku. She continued to doze, putting words to thoughts which she would, if Kohaku had been aware, have found difficult to express. But you've been so much to me. You've done so much for me. When I'm with you, I feel like my life might have some, I don't know, meaning. You gave me a purpose, and I love you so much. Ann brushed a few strands of Goku's hair to one side. She leant in, and then she pressed a soft, gentle kiss on her forehead, one which did not linger. It was nothing more than the faint touch of lips of skin, which lasted a split second, but Kohaku still shifted. Broccoli, she blinked. Then, in a tired voice, one which was slurred from sleep, she mumbled, "It's alright. It's what's promised for. Yeah, don't gotta thank you for that." Unblinked, then drew back. A faint blush crossed her cheeks, one she hoped Kohaku couldn't see in the dark, as questioningly she said, "How much of that did you hear?" "Not much. Enough, I guess. I know." Kohaku yawned. "You were being pretty sappy, but that's alright. I'm pretty sappy too." "You are?" "Yeah. I've gotta be. I mean, I love you a whole bunch too." "Kohaku?" Kohaku's name caught in Ann's throat, as if it were a pebble. Ann didn't have a heart condition, at least not as far as she knew, but she could feel a faint flutter inside her chest. It felt as if she was filled with flapping butterflies. Ann wondered what she would say next, wondered how she would reply to Kohaku's earnestness, which made her feel so warm, but... That was something she needed to concern. That was something she needed to concern herself with. Kohaku had fallen back to sleep. Ann laughed softly, both relieved and a touch disappointed by this anticlimax. She'd wanted to tell Kohaku how much she appreciated her, but that could wait for later. It was getting late. She should probably follow Kohaku's lead and go to sleep herself. Ann turned over in her bed, then retrieved her phone from the bedside table to examine it. It was 22:15, a little early for sleep, but Kohaku had been working very hard. Then blinked. She received a text message about 15 minutes ago. One from Runa. What did she want? Anna unlocked her phone, then examined the screen. She wasn't entirely sure what was expecting. She might very well have been fearing the worst, but... Hey, Ann! Smiley face. Runa's salvo of text started out innocently enough. Smiley face, no less. Surely she couldn't have been upset then. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. Especially since I'm sure you'd rather be with Kohaku, haha. I know I made a lot of jowl at her, but I didn't really mean it. Oh well, most of it. I really get on with her, and I still don't see the appeal of her. I don't really get on with her, I don't really see the appeal of it, but she obviously makes you happy. That makes you happy. You do, you bestie, Smiley. I'm glad to see you're doing well, but meeting up with you must have made me a little nostalgic. I went up looking through some of my old photos earlier, and look at this. Don't we look cute? Please ignore my dopey expression. Lol. Okay, lol. You know I don't photograph. Well, you look cute though, Ann. Smiley face. The message Runa sent to Ann wasn't a message at all, but a photograph. One which had been taken unexpectedly. The photograph was a little blurry, and to make things worse, there was a pinkish blob in the left corner, which must have been Runa's thumb. But that didn't stop Ann from making out what the subject matter was. She could see it quite clearly, in fact. It was a selfie. One which Runa herself had taken on an old phone she had almost 5 years ago. Aww, cute though. In the photograph, both Ann and Runa were sitting on Celia's roof, the sunlight bright and harsh in the background. It must have been during the summer afternoons then, that both Ann and Runa's wore long sleeve. Miss Akasaka was a stickler for it. She thought that short sleeves looked common. Ann had always thought it strange that Miss Akasaka, who valued practicality so much, would force the students to wear long-sleeved shirts, even during the hottest months of the year, when it was uncomfortably warm. But maybe there was some merit to it. If nothing else, it gave the mosquitoes less real estate to work with. Still, that photograph really was a blast from the past. Both girls were looking up at the camera and smiling shyly. She never really liked the having of her photo taken very much. Maruna splashed at the camera a great wide grin. On a plastic bag of sandwiches balancing on her lap, chicken cutlet maybe. It was a little hard to tell. It looked like the sandwich was purchased from the campus store. Campus store though. Now that really did take Ron back. Runa, meanwhile, had her own lunchbox resting on one side, a box which is full of white fluffy rice, fried chicken, and rolled egg omelets. Maybe she made herself. Runa had been a member of the cookery club back at St. Celia's too, and she'd always been a bit better than Ann. Runa had even helped Ann a few times when she had struggled with certain recipes, despite Runa being 2 years younger. 2 years Ann's junior. Ann had found it a little embarrassing at the time. She needed to baby like that, but she knew Runa had meant well. She had only wanted to help, and she had. Before she met Runa, Ann's lunchtime had been miserable affairs. She'd always eaten on her own in the classroom as quickly as she could, before trudging off to the library to while away her time on her own. She hadn't wanted to speak to anybody, largely because nobody had wanted to speak with her. They had thought her strange, with her foreign name and her strange illness. Anne hadn't shared her medical history with her classmates, but they'd all known there was something wrong with her. It had been impossible to hide, especially in a closed-off, cloistered environment like St. Cecilia's. Anne had missed a lot of class on account for her migraines. Sometimes she was absent for days on ends as she convulsed in bed, suffering and feeling sorry for herself. Anne's attendance had been shockingly poor, but the teachers had given her special exemptions because of her illness, and her grades hadn't suffered for it. She had been at the top of her class despite being absent so often, another factor which had rankled her classmates. I had never exactly been bullied, but she had been ostracized. She had been horribly lonely, until Verna had come along. It had been a real ray of sunshine in Anne's dark, cloudy life. Sometimes Verna had shone a little too brightly for Anne's liking, especially when Anne's headache had been plaguing her up, and she'd wanted to be left alone. But for the most part, Anne had enjoyed having Verna around. She liked her, and she still did. No matter what might have happened between them, Runa was still her best friend. And as Anne examined Runa's inexpert selfie, she couldn't help but smile. That photo must have been taken near the beginning of their friendship. Maybe when Runa had first hauled Anne up to her secret spot on the school roof. Anne had been awfully anxious about eating on the rooftop at first, in case they were caught out by a teacher, and they got in trouble. The roof was strictly off bounds, after all, but Runa had never cared about that. She had only laughed off Anne's concerns. She looked like she was laughing in the photograph too, her teeth very bright and white. I examined Runa. She examined herself, her old self. She looked uneasy in her St. Cecilia's uniform, but she was trying to smile regardless. She reached for the keypad to her phone and typed. I remember that. It was a while ago. Looking back on it, it feels like it was only yesterday.
Aww. Yay! The end. I don't know if you saw, but I got an achievement that said, another April. Look towards the future. Cute! I love it! Oh, that's so adorable. That's so cute. Oh, I love that. Wow. And that's it. That's it. That's everything. That's the whole thing. That's the whole extra story. I love it. It was so cute. Oh, I love it. I'm so happy that we got a little extra post. We got a little extra story after, after everything. I'm happy that 2 years later that they're living happily together, and look at them. They're so pretty together. This is from the base game, but it's so cute too. It's so good. I'm so happy for them. They're so happy. They're so happy together. Oh my god. I love them. They're so cute. Big love. Yippee. They're sleeping together. So cute. Sad. This is cute though. I like this. I love it. I love it all. Ah! Ah! That is it. That's the whole game. That's everything. That is everything. Oh my god. It's good though. I'm very happy. Excuse me, the game again? Yeah, the game again. Nothing special. Nothing special! Yeah! Oh, is the background also different too? Oh, it is! Ah, the touchscreen background is different too. It's no longer the school infirmary. It's the fucking park they went to. That's cute. I like that. I like that small detail. That's cute. That's cute. I like that. I like that. I like that. It's adorable. That's adorable. But that is it. That is it. That's everything. Let's move over to the talking screen. The chatting screen. But that was fun. I love it. That was a good story. That was good. That was so cute. So cute. I am so happy for them. I am big happy for them. I'm sad there's no more. That's all we got for Kohaku and on for now at least. Maybe we should add more. But probably not. Especially my love for Ebihime to write more. I don't think she will. She's got a bunch of other because they're platter, so I'm gonna hold out for that. That is a impossible dream. Unreachable dream, as I would say, but that was lovely. I did enjoy that little bonus story that she added on to the game. Okay, let's see who's live. Only friend who's live right now is not a VTuber. I have one friend who's live, but they're not a VTuber, and that's kind of scary. It's kind of scary doing that. And so, let's see. Anyone playing gay games? No. No one's playing the gay games. Aww. Damn it. No one's playing the gay games. That's so sad. Wow, so many face cam streamers. And sadly, my usual raid target is not live right now because they're going on they're taking a little holiday break because they're gonna go to conventions in TM, and they have other things planned. I think they're like hanging with friends right now, so sadly no we can't go to our normal target. But look around. Anyone I know in the places I am associated in. What are you doing? Looking around, scanning the scenery. Anyone I know doing anything of interest? We'll just end it. Just end it there. Just end it there. Yeah, we're just gonna end it there. No raid today. No raid today, but that was fun! I enjoyed that story. It was a good story. That was a good story. I enjoyed that. I'm excited for more Ebihime Yuri because she's running a bit more. I think she's running like 3 min right now. At least 3 right now, which is wild and wacky. But that is it for me today. Next stream will be, as usual, tomorrow, Monday, 3 p.m. UST. I will be doing some more Miss Izakaya. I am enjoying it. It's fun. I like it's a nice cooking game. Nice, quote unquote, calm, relaxing. I know I say calm, relaxing with quotation marks. Not really, not calm, not really. It's kind of stressful at times with the customers, but that's fine. We'll be back for more Mrs. Zakaya tomorrow, 3 p.m. EST. And, yeah, I'm gonna go and, eat dinner in a bit. Not yet, it's early for me. It's a bit early for me to have dinner, but I'm gonna be relaxing for the next evening, and, yeah. Hope to see you guys next time. Until then.